Hello, Pardot. This is Mike from Sercante. I'll be your moderator today for today's session. Before we hand off to our presenters, I want to go through a couple items real quick, just to let you as reminders. This session is being recorded, and it will be available in about 2 hours in the same area as you currently are now. We'll also be doing a live Q&A in the backside, time permitting, so hopefully we'll have some time for Jennifer and Jeff to answer some questions for us. So with that said, Jennifer, Jeff, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you. Hey, I'm going to share my screen here, folks, and we're going to get started with a couple of introductions. So first things first, would love to introduce ourselves. While I go ahead and get this launched, Jeff, why don't you give us a couple of words about who you are and why we're here today?
Hey, everybody. Pleasure to meet you. Jeff Ostenson. I am a lead solutions engineer over here at Qualified. Prior to joining Qualified this year, I worked 9 years at Pardot and at Salesforce. So I'm excited to be on the session today.
And hey, everybody, I'm Jennifer Lynn Schneider, Qualified Success Architect. You guys, if you've heard my things before, I've been in the ecosystem for about 17 years. I'm starting to really age myself here. Obviously, I drank the Kool-Aid a long time ago. Big fan of Pardot, big fan of Salesforce. Went through the ecosystem from SDR, BDR to marketer to admin, client side, consulting side, and now on the product side. So quite the journey, but we've got some great things in store for you today. So what is our agenda? What are we talking about? We're going to be bridging the gap between paid ads and pipeline, something that many people think is impossible. It's elusive. How are we going to do it? We're going to go through that today, give you a really high level structure, as well as all the instructions you need to do this today in your org. Our agenda today is obviously our intros now. We're going to go through a little bit of the customer journey, understand how to set things up, what our foundation is, and then we're going to get into some demos. We're going to show you behind the scenes what actually happened, some real live reporting, and make sure that you guys can see this front to end. And then, of course, we're going to leave some time at the end for some Q&A as well. So we can't start any session without understanding what our tech stack is. Super important and always passionate. These are the 3 tools we're going to be using today in order to be able to get that pipeline that we're talking about. So obviously Salesforce Sales Cloud, Salesforce Pardot, Google Analytics, and Qualified. And we're going to bring Einstein and Appy along the way as well. So I think these numbers probably don't surprise anyone that's on the call today. We have almost 70% of marketers today saying that measurability of that ROI, that is top priority. We need to have that. Yet we're seeing less than 9% actually achieve that. We have work to do. And this is a really big sweet spot, a really big turning point for a lot of organizations. When they can finally start to get that ROI, we know when and where to spend that money. So what if I told you it actually is possible to attribute revenue to paid ad spend in Salesforce? We're going to show you one way today on how to do just that. But first, I want to take you through this customer journey. We're going to finish this and review this at the end, but I want to kind of set the stage for you. You place your ad online. Your prospect is going to go ahead and click that. They're navigated right to your website or your store, as we like to call it, or Pardot landing page. It's there that they're going to engage with a tailored conversational marketing experience using Qualified. We're going to take that journey, that customer story that you started with that paid ad, and we're going to pull them continuously through, giving them relevant content, relevant conversation, and an experience that they want to be a part of. Now, while they're doing that, in the best case, we see sales. Sales is going to go ahead and see them. They're going to interact with them while they're showing that intent. This is that secret sauce. You've come to our site. You've clicked on the ad. You're engaged. This is the moment that you are engaged in our content or our product or a service. And sales is right there. At that point, that engaged prospect is converted into a lead into Salesforce instantly. They've given us their information. We've had a conversation with them. An opportunity can be created by sales right away, right inside the platform. And that prospect is going to be added to unique Salesforce Connected Campaigns with Salesforce Pardot. All these different fields, custom fields that are important to you, like lead source, are all populated by Qualified. This is all happening instantaneously as they're going through their conversational marketing experience and or talking with your sales team. Within that experience, Google Analytics also is going to trigger certain events that are going to go go back to Google Analytics. All of this is happening at once. We're going to talk about how to align all of this. Now, at the end of this transaction, all of your reporting can live right inside Sales Cloud. We're going to use opportunity data to produce that ROI campaign influence, and that paid ad is going to showcase that ROI. Together, you've won as a team. Your marketing and sales teams have talked together. You've got your admin there. All of your systems are connected, and we're utilizing this in a smooth customer journey. They don't feel any of that on the back end. Your reps don't feel any of that on the back end. We've set things up and things are running smoothly. So we're going to revisit this customer story at the end while we show you how we can do this collectively. So we're going to cover 3 things I like to call the Attribution Framework. I'm going to teach you how to build your foundation, curate wonderful experiences that people want to engage with, and at the end, we're going to show you how to measure ROI, and we're going to show you in real life a dashboard. So there's no fluff here. And then we're going to get into some demo fever, where you're going to be able to get behind the scenes to really see how the tools work. So let's build that foundation. And if anyone has chatted with me before, you know I love my campaign object. So yes, we're going to start with the campaign object. But first things first. On the left-hand side of the screens, you're going to always see what tech stack we're utilizing within this topic. So here we've got Salesforce Sales Cloud, Salesforce Pardot, and Qualified. But there are prerequisites. We need to have that Pardot Lightning app enabled. Get that enabled yesterday if it's not enabled today. We're going to use engagement history report types, so those need to be created. We need to make sure that our campaign influence 2.0 is enabled and that we've created those report types as well. We're going to talk about parent-child campaign hierarchy, set up both for qualified experiences and for your Google Analytics paid ads right inside of Salesforce. And taxonomy. One of the most important pieces to this entire piece is making sure that we have taxonomy aligned across platforms. Whether you're reporting inside Salesforce or you're pulling things out of Salesforce and using other tools, taxonomy is really the only way to be able to take all these disparate systems and be able to bring these KPIs together. And we're also going to talk about revenue and custom campaign fields to help you on your way. Let's see here. All right. But it is always about ROI. So let's get geeky. All right, let's first talk about campaigns and taxonomy, building that foundation. So here you can see our Salesforce Sales Cloud hierarchy. On the left-hand side, we have a campaign that mimics each experience in your conversational marketing hierarchy. That allows us to understand which experience is giving us the most conversions and the most revenue. Now, on the right-hand side, we also have a separate paid ad hierarchy. And this is really important because each one of your ads, you have spend. So we want to make sure that we're putting that spend within that campaign so that when we do utilize our campaign influence reports, we're able to, again, attribute revenue right to that specific ad. And that's what's going to give us our ROI. But notice our taxonomy. It's really clear to understand how these things connect together. We have a naming convention that is consistent and easy to understand. Let's also talk about our campaign configuration. This is your workspace. So for your Pardot users out there, you know this is where you live and breathe inside of Sales Cloud. On the left-hand side, we talk about custom fields. Now, we could really go on and on about all the different custom fields that are important to your company, but I'm going to showcase 2 examples here. See in campaign category, as well as paid ad platform, I selected demand gen and LinkedIn ads. This way, across all of your ads, you can utilize these particular custom fields to be able to pull all campaigns that have a paid ad platform of LinkedIn ads. So when you're getting that question from leadership, what have we spent on LinkedIn and what's our ROI across all of our efforts? Maybe part of it is conversational marketing, part of it is demand gen, part of it is brand awareness, part of it is partner marketing. We can simply utilize these custom fields to be able to answer those questions. Notice also on the left-hand side, we have our budget and our cost, right? What is the budget for this ad? What is the cost? This is how we're going to get those ROI numbers for you. Now let's take a look right inside Pardot Lightning to take a look at how this is set up inside of Salesforce Sales Cloud. So here I've got my paid ads parent. As you can see, I've got my engagement history cards here. I've included my child campaigns, which are individual ads, and those items are bubbling to the surface. I've got my related list quick links that are going to showcase things like my landing pages, emails, snippets. You also notice down here a really clean interface. I have my details, my related lists, which again are my campaigns, my campaign members. Notice I have my engagement. That's going to be my engagement dashboard. But this tab right here is our build tab. It's really important to have a place that marketers can work right inside of Sales Cloud. So don't overestimate the importance of a good page layout. All your landing pages, list emails, marketing forms, links, anything that we're doing collectively, all of these assets that we're using to support this paid ad, like a form, like a landing page, are now all here right inside Salesforce. Let's get back to the presentation. The next step of this is curating your experiences. When someone clicks on that paid ad, we want to pull them into that story. And when they come to your website, we don't want a generic greeting saying, "Hey, how you doing?" You just clicked on a paid ad. We want to continue that story. So we're going to show you how to align that customer journey. Our tech stack here, Salesforce Sales Cloud, Salesforce Pardot, Google Analytics, and Qualified. It's really important to align in that digital first world. Again, we're bringing more and more people to our website. That is our store today. We need to interact with them when they're engaging with us. We're going to create specific experiences that extend that digital story. We're going to give them relevant content, give them relevant solutions, ask them hot button issues, and really start to understand their pain points so that we can communicate with them. We also have the ability to track unique conversion custom GA events. So you have control to bring in what kind of events you want to track. What is a conversion to you may not be a conversion to someone else. So let's customize it to fit your business process. We're also going to convert individuals and add members to your paid ads campaign within each experience. This happens right on the platform. So as we're bringing in net new people, we're qualifying them, we're grabbing their information, and we're pushing them to Salesforce instantly. And let's not forget about campaign statuses. We can use that for a little extra level of detail on your reporting. We're going to take a look at that in a little bit later. So deep diving into this experience management, we talked a little bit about these custom triggers. And as you can see, we have the ability to add those any space within the experience. So as someone is interacting, downloading content, reading, perusing, based on their activities, we're going to be able to set that event without them even knowing. This happens right on the back end. And again, being able to add members to both campaigns right on the platform. Attribution and ROI. So how does this all fit together, Jen? Again, Salesforce Pardot, Salesforce Sales Cloud, and Qualified. We're going to use that paid ad campaign hierarchy to understand which ad is driving most traffic to the site, right? That's why we're adding them to 2 campaigns at once. We want to understand how much we paid for the ad. And then if any of those individuals are part of an opportunity on a contact role or part of an account that has an open opportunity, we want to be able to pull some of that revenue share back to that ad. Now we're going to use our experience hierarchy to track which is converting better. This is going to help us understand flow and strategy and content and delivery. Are we asking the right questions too soon? Are we gating too much? Should we give a little and then try to convert? A lot of strategy goes into this entire customer journey from digital ad into Salesforce. And so we utilize both of these hierarchies to make sure that the right people can focus on what they need. We also have the ability for lead attribution. We can pull in that lead source, populate it. We can also use UTMs, which we're going to showcase today. And those UTMs that we capture, I always recommend mapping them to the lead and the contact object so that when that lead converts, those UTMs and lead sources follow them to the contact for better reporting. We're also going to use campaign custom fields for more detailed reports, and we'll show you some examples in just a minute. And no one can forget about campaign influence. Again, Salesforce, Pardot, Google Analytics, and Qualified. So we're going to be using our opportunity with influenced campaigns report to pull that closed won revenue from your opportunity data, and we're going to utilize that against the spend of the ad. We're then going to also get into some forecasting, which usually is a sales term, but it's definitely for marketers. What open opportunities do you currently have that you're influencing? What stage are they at? And how can I use that data to drive more resources for my team and prove value in the ads that we currently have running? We're also going to be able to pull activity reports because it doesn't stop there. Somebody's in the site, we've had a conversation, now sales is taking over. I want to continue to follow that journey. Is sales following up? Did we have meetings? What's going on there? All those booked meetings and conversations are logged right on that lead and contact record right inside of Salesforce. So we can pull those KPIs as well. And again, cannot forget about GA. Using taxonomy across your events for Google Analytics that align with paid ads, all of this, we can pull all of these things together and really showcase the 360 journey of the customer. So here we are back at that journey again, that hopefully will make a little more sense. You've placed that ad. The prospect clicks on the ad, they go to your website or your Pardot landing page, and they engage with this tailored experience. They've been given content. They've been put down and asked some really relevant questions. We've gathered information. And during that pause process, sales went ahead and interacted with them. They've engaged with them, set up a follow-up meeting, and all of that information is seamlessly put right into Salesforce. From there, they can pop right back into Salesforce, create that opportunity. We have taken that journey that's normally 2 to 3 weeks long, and we've condensed it. We've added them to campaigns for reporting. We've brought in the proper fields and analytics that you need to tell that entire 360 story. And we've also created a Salesforce dashboard that your leadership can always take a look at and you can share with your team. Using opportunity data and sales data with marketing data in the same place, you truly do and can find ROI. You definitely won as a team. Now, this was all well and good. Slides are fantastic, but let's get behind the scenes and let's actually see how this works. So Jeff, I'm going to give it to you to take over the screen.
Fantastic. Let me go ahead and take that from you here. Excellent, guys. So we're going to, as this pulls up, we're going to walk through a quick live example, specifically around the experience management part of this. Hey, what does it look like when we now actually launch that ad and start going down that customer journey that Jen just showed on the last slide here? So I've got a sample ad here. We're going to walk through this piece, and then after that, Jen's going to get a little bit more into the actual reporting and campaign attribution side of things as well, doing the dashboarding that she loves to talk about. So I've got a sample LinkedIn ad clicking through. Like Jen mentioned, when the customer clicks through, we're landing back on the website or a Pardot landing page, either way. Now, the goal with launching that paid ad is we want to then track the conversion of this person has now actually clicked through and converted. And now current state with Pardot, we would need them to fill out the form, right? We want them to fill it out, download this case study that we led them to, and as you guys know, in Pardot we'll have completion actions set up where those completion actions can easily update a campaign status. I could come in, and I believe it's my LinkedIn ad campaign here. And, we can update the status just like that. Now, for that, though, we're going to need them to actually, fill out the form and convert on the form. What I want to show you is what Jen was talking about with the qualified experiences. If we're using a conversational marketing tool like Qualified, you see here, like she mentioned, Gina clicking through on that ad gave her a tailored experience. We know it's Gina. We're saying, hey, welcome in. Maybe we're using some of the same language that we had for the ad, certainly. So we want to continue the story. And now Gina just engaging with this, the qualified experience, even if she doesn't click in and wants to launch a live chat, even just her getting served with this experience can then track as a conversion. So I want to talk about that a little bit. On the back end of Qualified, if I open up that experience that we just served up, we see the welcome in from LinkedIn here. The way Qualified works is that when the moment that someone's hitting the website, we control what sort of experience they should get served up here at the top. So I'm saying, hey, if they landed on this landing page, we want to serve up this experience. We could get more tailored than that if we wanted to. We could do things like, hey, if they hit this landing page and they're one of our target accounts. Think about ABM strategies. This is one of our diamond accounts that's landing on the site. We want this to serve up this experience. Totally up to you how Gina is determining which experience she gets. But her getting placed into this experience, the very first step that we could have just from her hitting that page is we could then have her updated campaign status here. So the way that we'd want to do this is to work into Jennifer's, to Jen's taxonomy that she was mentioning. From her clicking through, from Gina clicking through on that ad, we'd want to update the campaign status for the LinkedIn ad campaign on the digital side. And so we'll say, status equals converted or click through or however your taxonomy will be here. That being said, like Jen showed, having both campaigns for the digital ads as well as campaigns for the chat experience, we'll have another step in here at the beginning that says we'll update the qualified campaign there. So you see that we've got the campaign set up from the qualified chat in line with the LinkedIn ad that we just ran. And so maybe then we'll update that status to engaged because she has now been served that experience and engaged with it. Now, what we'd want to do, from a qualified standpoint, is as she works her way down that experience, if she does chat, request to chat, we might have a step in that case that says, a status is chatted with rep, or requested chat, however we want to word that. If she doesn't want to chat with a rep, but maybe she books a meeting on a meeting booker, we might have a different campaign that says booked a meeting, right? So we'll manage the chat campaign throughout the process. But the big thing is right there at the beginning, just from her hitting that page, we're updating that campaign status for that LinkedIn ad. Now, to Jen's point, we also can track a Google Analytics event at this point too. And so we might want to track an event that's going to push back to Google Analytics, something like converted or whatever taxonomy we want to use for the Google Analytics event. But all of that can happen just the moment that Gina then clicks through on that. So Jen's going to get into going forward, getting into dashboarding and how all of this ties back into Salesforce. It's really powerful that at the individual ad, at the individual qualified experience level, we can really start to see attribution and do some ROI calculation. But I wanted to at least show you how that was structured inside of qualified. So, Jen, I'm going to pass things back over to you to get into dashboarding.
You bet. So, as I promised, this is a no fluff session. So this can actually be done and people can actually do this. So, we've used it. Many of my clients are currently using this same thought process. We're creating dashboards for them. This is my dev org. As you can see, I have a thing for the Avengers. So you're going to see some fun things throughout the way. But what I really want to showcase here is that this is a real thing that can happen today. So let's walk through some of these reports and dashboards. And then we're going to open it up for Q&A so we can really dive into all of your questions. So the first thing I like to do with dashboards is tell a story. And on the slides that I talked to you about, we talked about all sorts of different things, right? We had marketing coming in. We had some metrics there. We had leads and contacts engagement. We also had sales KPIs. And then we also have revenue. And so this dashboard works in the same way. And I really take care to craft this dashboard to tell a story. So let's go ahead and tell that story now. So the very first thing we're going to start with is leads. How many net new leads have we created from our paid ads, right? From this journey of our tech stack that's aligning together beautifully, I want to know how many net new leads have been created. So we're going to go ahead and pull that information here. We're using the source of qualified as a lead source. We can also obviously amend that and bring over different lead sources from specific ads, but I like to do a hybrid of a CRM lead source and then a digital first and last touch or recently updated. I have multiple lead sources so we can look at things from multiple angles. We need to understand when we had the original conversion, which was on our website via qualified. However, we also want to know what ad they came from. So we're going to be able to look at our statuses, additional custom fields, as well as our taxonomy and campaign hierarchy to understand which ads and platforms are performing best. And remember on the campaign object, when we had that platform ad pick list of LinkedIn ads, right? We don't always have to have LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter as our lead source. It can be a field within that campaign. And when we pull a report in Salesforce based on that custom field, we're pulling all in what we spent and what kind of return on investment we had on that platform. So there are many ways to get that information. And I know we all fight over that lead source field. So stop fighting. We've got plenty of different ways to slice this cake. So that's great. We've got our net new leads, but I want to understand our conversion. What are the quality of leads that we're getting from our paid ads and our experiences? And that usually can be found in conversion. If we're converting those leads to contacts and adding them to accounts, that's a pretty good sign. So here we've just done again, a very simple converted leads report using qualified as the lead source. Now, if you've got additional fields like status, MQL, SQL, SAL, we've got all sorts of acronyms, don't we? You can also throw that in here to understand how many MQLs and SQLs have we generated, right? So this is completely custom to you guys. I'm just giving these high-level simple reports. And again, we're telling the story, net new leads created and how many of them were converted into contacts. But I want more information than that. So how many of those converted leads into contacts, where are they at? Like what are the accounts? Are those accounts even important to me? So I've taken the same report and simply grouped by account. Now I'm seeing that, hey, Pardot Infinity War, Salesforce Pardot Adventures, these are my accounts. These are my target accounts. These are really solid. When we're in marketing, it's really important for us to tell the story of revenue. We need to prove that what we are doing is bringing in revenue to the company so we can get the resources we need, the timelines we need, whether it's another tool or a couple more bodies because we have so many hats and one head. We need to be able to prove value into what we're doing in order to ask for those things. So I'm running through my leads, and this is a pretty great story altogether. Now I'm going to talk about my campaigns. And because I used the taxonomy we talked about, it's really easy to understand which ad this was and where it's coming from. Remember, my paid ad hierarchy is the same. My qualified taxonomy is the same. My Google Analytics events taxonomy also comes into play. And so it's really easy for me to understand that in this ad, these many people SQL'd, these many people converted, MQL. So the statuses feature that Jeff was showing you allows you to customize your campaign statuses. It can be chatted with a rep. It can be downloaded content. We can use it differently and utilize when they've engaged to this point and their Pardot score is this and they've done this. We're going to go ahead and update their status to SQL, which is going to trigger a flow inside of Salesforce. So you see how important it is for marketers and sales to talk to each other and say, what's your business process? If I update this, what is that going to do? Is that going to trigger a sales loft or outreach cadence? We can really do all of this into one place. So I always tell people, take a step back and whiteboard the entire customer journey, all the different tools, and get a person from each of those focuses of the company in the same room. Figure out what that journey is first to understand how you can help trigger things automatically, remove things from human error, and tell the story. So next, I want to understand of the ads that have been served and the experiences that have been served, how many contacts and leads, like how many known folks are engaging. And what you're going to start to see is some really weird trends. I use this for my, in the past with my marketing clients as well to understand what content is performing better. And it's very clear winner that our contacts, people who know our story, are engaging with us in very different content than somebody who doesn't know our story. Now, when I say that, that seems super obvious, but when you're kind of tunneled in your own company and all of your content, you might think something, and these stats are going to start to showcase that you have very different interactions with things across the board. And so with our ads, depending on what platform it is, you can see we have LinkedIn, Facebook. It's really going to be interesting to see who's interacting when. Now, this next one is for you Pardot lovers. I'm thinking we have a few here today. So remember those engagement history reports? Let's say you utilize that landing page and you did have a form, but you also wanted to have a chat experience. Allow them to go ahead and skip that form. Call that individual out by name and extend that digital story and say, hey, skip the form. You're way more important than that. Let's talk now. But you also want to understand those landing pages statistics, like how many people went there and just didn't engage at all. Now, when we talked about that campaign object and the build tab within Sales Cloud and the Pardot app, you were able to then see the different landing pages and their statistics right there on the page. This is all together because this is one project, right? This is an ad, but we have many assets and resources that belong to one campaign that made this work, right? So here we're going to be able to bring in that information as well. right inside your dashboard. So we've kind of covered marketing. Marketing's got a pretty good representation here. We're going to move this over to what happens. Great. We had a conversation. We booked a meeting. Who's following up? Who did that? What about KPIs for the folks that are manning the platform and having those conversations after marketing's pulled them into the website? Well, we've got the ability to report on that too. And so here you can see we've separated our leads and our contacts. We've given a quick overview of how many leads have had conversations within a period of time. And let's say we've had, 100 to 200 conversations within the last 30 days. We've got multiple people on the platform. We're going to pull that activity owner and we're going to be able to create bar charts and understand who on our sales team is really leaning in and just engaging. So again, bringing both marketing and sales into one dashboard. If the customer journey is 360, then our internal process needs to be 360 too. And we want to make sure that we're representing all departments in one space so we can tell the same story to our leadership. Now, the next piece is meetings booked. The meeting booked feature is obviously really important. If we can't get to everyone, we still want to be able to extend the next step within that sales process immediately, regardless. And so here again, we're going to understand how many meetings we've booked and who we've booked them to. But now we get into the ROI. The part that you've all been waiting for, the mystic thing that you didn't think was possible. So let's take a look at why this campaign hierarchy, this taxonomy, and this communication between departments is so very important. So the first two sets of reports are actually the same report, but they're just grouped a little differently in Salesforce. The first one is looking at our lead source, open opportunities with open opportunity and stage with lead source. So here again, we talked about the different ways we can use lead source, right? We can always attribute it to qualified because that's what they were converted. Maybe your team is a little more focused and we want to pull in that source from where we came from. We have the ability to do that as well. So we'll talk a little bit about that. There's always a couple ways to slice that lead source. Again, don't fight over the lead source field. There's a ton of different ways to see that information sliced in different ways. But what I like is just understanding the overall number. What's my overall sum of revenue share? Now, these reports that I'm utilizing is using even touch distribution is my favorite. And we can all argue about that on a later date. Now, the next one here is really what's compelling. Because I've used taxonomy, I can understand which experience or which ad is directly related to which opportunity and what stage and how much revenue. This is my forecasting. This is my pipeline. This is me as a marketer going to leader and saying, and you guys can pick what stages, right? Maybe you only want to do probability of 75% and above. I mean, whatever works for your team. But now you can go to leadership and say, I have 778K in the funnel. I need a new body on my team. You have real statistics to showcase, to ask for the things that you need. And we all need more resources in today's world. Now, this next is our opportunity one. So what's the actual money we made, Jen? Again, on the side, we're pulling things by lead source. We're doing a sum of revenue share here. And we're tying the campaign or the ad directly to the opportunity, directly to the sum of the revenue share. It doesn't get any clearer than this, that you've brought in ROI into the company. Do not forget your fundamentals. Build your foundation. Utilize your prerequisites. Get obsessed with the campaign object. Utilize campaign hierarchy and have full discussions with all the people on your team to understand that entire customer journey from the back end as well as the customer side. So on that, I think we're going to open it up for some Q&A. I'm sure there's a lot of questions. So let's go ahead and dive in and get started.
Thanks, Jen. That was awesome. And thanks, Jeff, as well. There are a couple of questions in here that we want to look at. First question we had was regarding the campaign hierarchy. The question was, do you really need to use both campaigns? It seems kind of complex having two different levels.
Yeah, I mean, I like it because there are usually different teams, right? There's going to be a digital marketing team that may own those paid ad campaigns. And there's maybe going to be a different team that owns the website or those experiences. So for this piece, I like to be able to separate the conversion from the ROI. However, you could use campaign custom fields And you could tie those things together, putting the paid ad revenue, just separating it out. So you could absolutely use one hierarchy. You're just going to have to be a little bit more due diligence, do some scoping, understand what it is that you want to report on. Always ask yourself that first. What do I need to report on? And then build that out in the campaign. And then really just understanding how to pull those reports differently using different fields to get those numbers. Great question.
Awesome. Thank you. Next question we had was regarding building out the dashboards. Can you build these in Datorama or another platform?
So you can always build things in Datorama. It's going to be very different, however, right? I've have some experience in Datorama. One of the biggest things I found there is that, right, the integration is not going to be as tight. So you're going to be utilizing a lot of taxonomy to harmonize your data, and it's a little bit more complex. Not to say that it can't be done, but because this tech stack that we've chosen today really lives on the X-Force or Salesforce Sales Cloud platform, it's all native right there. So can you pull it and pull it in? Absolutely. Are you going to get those clean results? It's going to take a little bit more time for that.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Scanning the chat here, I don't see any other questions in here. Does anyone else have any questions that we hadn't answered? We have about 5 minutes remaining. We'd love to take some more if you have them.
Yeah, and we can dive into some of those reports too. Like, let us know, or Jeff can show you some more backend. Like, whatever you guys, you got 5 minutes. The world is your oyster. Let's do this. Not everybody at once, though. Slow down. Any reporting folks here today? Analytics folks?
I think that's the other question that comes into reporting. You're talking about using Datorama. I mean, I start thinking about Tableau CRM and how you could, you know, it's not necessarily as native as what you're currently using, but I could see some capabilities there too, especially with your campaign name structure as you have it.
Well, there's a couple things. So taxonomy is number one important. If you're going to set up the foundation, your Google Analytics better be, you know, spot on to your campaign hierarchy in Salesforce, because in Datorama, that's the only way you're connecting them, right? Another thing too, I think, and Jeff, I'm not sure if you showcased it, but we can also pull this stuff into B2BMA. So that was another piece that I haven't showcased. So that's another native way to come in and then utilize those additional ways to view things, pull in from other apps as well. So I always try to stay as native as possible. In my consulting days, everybody wants to buy a new tool, but we use about 10% of the tools we have. So how about we don't buy anything for a couple quarters and learn what we have, get more ingrained in it, and utilize what we have and become experts in the tech stack that we do have, versus trying to throw on a complex analytics platform when we don't even have our base foundation set to even pull the information into it correctly.
Great advice. One more question just came in. It's basically asking, is there a written how-to guide to implement this anywhere?
It's all right here. No, just kidding. Today was your how-to guide. Absolutely. There's some fantastic consultants out there that have a lot of different thoughts and processes, but really today was that fundamental how-to guide. You just have to make sure that that foundation that you have is set. Make sure your data is as clean as possible, that things are named consistently, that you have internal processes, whatever those are, and make sure that they're followed. Put things in place to make sure that people are following those processes. And I think if you follow this fundamental of the campaign hierarchy and how things tie together, you can absolutely utilize this across multiple platforms.
Well, awesome. Jennifer, Jeff, this was an awesome presentation. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, guys.
I know I learned a lot, and I'm sure everyone else on the line learned a lot as well. This was excellent. You know, also want to make sure we give a shout out to all of our sponsors. You know, obviously, Qualified is one of our sponsors, but if you haven't stopped by our sponsors' booths yet, please go stop by their booths now and check them out. They're all great, and they're a big part of the reason why we can do Pardreamin'. Also, I invite you to check out the recording of the demo session if you missed that, the demo jam. It was awesome, and again, all the vendors there gave their pitch real quick in 3 minutes or less. It was a great way of seeing it. And finally, just be sure to join our last keynote today. It begins at 2:15. So that'll be talking about Slack and how that's going to be integrating with Pardot. So be sure to join us this afternoon.
Thanks
a lot, everyone.